Play the music. I'll tell you what's going on with the Skinnies, the Commanders.
Commanders now up a point on their number. They were at 1.5 for most of the week. It's up to 2.5 on FanDuel.
I can't remember what I heard yesterday. Might have been on Grant Danny's show from New York, who thought that Tyrod Taylor would start this week.
Possible.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody who knows a couple of players up there in New York, and that's
Tyrod.
Yeah,
so maybe that's why there's the line movement. Because I believe Daniel Jones is 5-1-1 against the Commanders.
He's done pretty well. I actually have a few stats on Daniel Jones here. He has 40-plus rushing yards in 5 of his past 6 home starts. Completed 25 of 31, 80% of his passes in his last home meeting. I think that's against the Commanders. Has 11 touchdowns and just 3 interceptions with a career 98 rating in his 7 career starts against Washington. So, yeah, I guess you got to root for Tyrod to play. And we mentioned it. I think he was limited yesterday. I think he's told reporters that he wants to play this week. But I think all those guys want to play. So
if the doctors don't let him.
Yeah, if you're not cleared. But
I think that's some people have said that, they'll be better off against Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor. Jones has had success. Again, record 5-1-1 against the Commanders. So he's got confidence going against his defense.
No doubt.
And also, if you're the Giants, I mean, it's a $40 million player. You're 1-5. You're not going to the playoffs. They know that. So why push it? So it's kind of a I know you brought this up yesterday. It's like a tank move. It's not really a tank move. They're not trying to tank, but why push your starter if you know he's only 70%?
Well, they are on the hook to pay him a lot of money, at least for the next few years.
Yeah, so they're not going to push
him available.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Let me see. In his first start last week, Tyrod completed 24 of 36 for 200 yards.
He was okay. 2
touchdowns, no picks, the 112 rating against Washington. That was back in 2015 against Buffalo.
He targeted Wan'Dale Robinson the most last week.
But they were all short passes.
Yeah, 8 for 62. Darius Slayton had 4 for 69, so he was averaging 17.5 per catch.
Waller had 5.
Waller only had 5 on 7 targets. So
Hyatt has flashed, the rookie, at times, but not really the last couple of weeks.
No. And then, of course, Barkley had 24 carries for 93, no scores. So they're probably going to lean heavily on Barkley again.
Now
although they ran a ton of plays.
The guy defensively, and remember I told you I think they've played better in the last few weeks defensively. The guy that everyone's talking about is inside linebacker Bobby Okereke. He led the team with 11 tackles, had 2 tackles for loss, 2 passes defense, had his 4th career interception. Remember?
He had 8 solo tackles, yeah.
Kayvon Thibodeau had 12 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery for a touchdown the last time he played Washington.
Hey, here's something I wanted to ask you.
Thibodeau just kills us.
And I know you'd feel differently if it was a Commanders player.
Yeah.
I saw a video this morning. So the WNBA Finals wrapped up last night. I believe Vegas won their second championship.
They won by a point, back-to-back.
And that was against New York, right?
Yeah, The chick for New York was puking in the bucket.
Where was the game played?
Don't know. I assume
it was in New York.
Yeah,
I think it was in New York.
I think New York, yeah.
For some reason, I thought it was in Vegas, but if it was in New York, you can pass because I saw a video. Thibodeau was there.
Well, that makes sense. If it's in New York.
If it was in New York, no big deal. Because I was going to say, if it was in Vegas, how would you feel? Now, you can fly back. I'm sure you can fly, do red eye, get back.
I think it was in New York because that was in the 4th game, and I think
it was.
Yeah, Vegas had the home court advantage, so that was game 4.
Yeah, I think I thought it was in Vegas because I saw pictures of Mark Davis there. And
so this week, everybody's still kind of talking about the Sam Howell sack issue. We've talked about it plenty for weeks now. We played a Grant interview with Eric Eager yesterday. We had our guy on, is it Zach Kruger? Who he was messaging me yesterday. Some more stats. But Sam, of course, got to the point now where Sam, of course, is being asked about it.
You're obviously not the only quarterback getting sacked a lot this season. I think there's a lot of young quarterbacks who are kind of dealing with that. What's the fine line as you're kind of getting used to the NFL of of holding onto the ball, but also knowing not to make a mistake where you're throwing the ball away and kind of making a mistake that's worse than taking a sack.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you just want to make good decisions. And, I think sacks are negative plays, like I kind of said earlier. They really kill your drives, especially, when you're in field goal range. You can take a sack, get out of field goal range, and just little things like that. I think it's just you got to have a good feel for the situation. And obviously, you want to get rid of the football, but you don't want to, throw it into a crowd or throw it to someone that's covered. So that's one thing I'm just trying to continue to get better at is, if I do need to find an incompletion, just throwing it at somebody's feet and just find an incompletion and just let the play another down. But yeah, it's just an area where I'm continuing to grow.
I like it. I mean, it's so weird that people are taking this one issue and they're going back to college and they're just saying, yep, that's a fatal flaw in his game. It's over. And
Neil Greenberg's another guy who's kind of buying into it.
He's a stats-oriented guy.
Yeah.
The stats-oriented guys are like that. And maybe they're right. But if you, ask Jay Gruden, I don't think he thinks that.
Not everybody, yeah.
Yeah, like football guys. Hell, Bieniemy didn't even know how many times he had been sacked a couple weeks ago. You know what I mean? Like football guys, maybe you could just say, well, they're just dumb football guys. They don't, they don't know the analytics like we do. And there's always that divide. But I don't think if you ask football guys, like football coaches, active coaches, hey, is this a fatal flaw? Can this kid, is it hopeless? Are we wasting it? I don't think they would say it is.
No, because they know a lot more about what the media knows and what the fans know. And they see him every single day. So they see him in practice. They see what he can do every single day.
And they see the other things.
It's just a lot of sacks statistically.
And
they study the
film.
But a lot of the sacks, if you look at the film, at least according to Pro Football Focus, they now say only 12 of the 34 sacks are on the line. That's
fine.
A lot of sacks on Sam Howell.
Blame it on him, but that doesn't mean he can't learn. That doesn't mean also you can't coach around it. That doesn't mean you can't scheme around it. So we got a guy here, let's say he's got
I'll agree with you, but ideally, maybe you want a guy that you don't have to do all those things.
Right.
You don't want to have to scheme around a weakness.
But if he's not throwing picks, if he's leading your offense, if he's making big-time throws,
if the offense is prolific enough.
Yeah. If he does
right now they are scoring more than they did last year.
Yesterday, I was throwing this out to you yesterday. If this was Ron Rivera's first year or second year, okay, you can work with Sam Howell for a 3-year period.
It's a great unknown. I don't know what a new coach is going to want.
Exactly. That's my point. So how long does he have to learn how to improve it? That's the big question.
Well, he's got to learn a lot this year. He's got to demonstrate a hell of a lot this year.
He's got to improve kind of week to week.
Yeah, he's for sure. But if he right now, he's got 9 touchdowns of what, 6 or 7 picks? I think 6 maybe.
6.
So if you project that out, they've been 6 games. That's 27 and 18. Mm-hmm. All right, obviously it's a little high interception. If he ends the season with 27 touchdowns, they're gonna say, you know what, this is something. This kid first year, 27 touchdowns. We can work with this, in my opinion.
Right now, our Junkies poll of the day presented by Van Meter Homes. 63% believe he is a starter in this league versus a career backup. If he ends up with 27 touchdowns, I would say he's a starter in the league.
Yeah, and I think also eager to give him credit. His point also was he's probably, like you said, the same thing about Jacoby Brissett. He's probably a top 32 quarterback. But if Jacoby Brissett's a top 32 quarterback, but he's on another team that has another top 32 quarterback, so he's actually a backup.
Yeah, I lean towards
it just depends on where you are.
I lean towards Howell's going to be a starter in the league, but it's so early to project it after 6 games. But it's probably going to be like a Baker Mayfield affair where
maybe
starter, then maybe he's not a starter, then he's a starter, maybe he's not a starter.
He's been compared to Baker. I'll tell you what, I will say this.
But Baker's having a good year so far.
For whatever it's worth, he's had good years.
Yeah.
For whatever it's worth, this past week when we looked at PFF, if you look at QB rating or whatever, for the week, he was 5th. And that's in a week where he was sacked 5 times, and he only threw for 150 yards.
I mean, you had 3 touchdowns with no picks.
Right.
Now, the level of difficulty, like PFF sometimes looks at level of difficulty of pass, and I know he had a couple of big-time throws, and he had drops. So, maybe his best pass was the pass to Dotson, who dropped it, or De'Ami Brown, who dropped it. His touchdowns were just little dinks, screen pass to
Yeah, there were
Brian
short
Robinson.
fields. There were 2 short fields.
The ball to Gibby.
But you got to take advantage of those. You know,
Yeah.
you got to score touchdowns there.
Now, we did mention this yesterday. I don't know if we want to throw it out there. It is Open Line Thursday. You know, you could call in about anything. But, you know, we mentioned yesterday, I think it was JP that mentioned that Belichick struggling. He's been there in Foxborough, I believe I saw 24 years. And there's more and more momentum. And there is an article about Belichick to Commanders in SI.com. If he were to be fired or let go. I'm on the record. I'm over Belichick. I'm moving on. And believe me, I don't think Ron's great.
I think most fans
But
are probably going to be with you.
I'm moving on. I'm not interested in Belichick, but I would be curious if there are fans out there that say, no, I would love that guy. How could you pass up that guy? Guy's won 6 Super Bowls or whatever it is.
We could throw it out to callers. It is Open Line Thursday, presented by Window Nation. Searching for new windows and doors, search windownation.com. Their windows are measured to fit the first time and installed by experts to last. Window Nation for your home because it's where you live. Yeah, let's make it a very binary choice. If there's an opening here in Washington and they're looking for a new head coach, would you want Bill Belichick to be the next head coach of the Commanders? 800-636-1067.
Mike Girardi from 98.5, the Sports Hub in Boston, says that he thinks Belichick still wants to coach. He says, I don't think you'd get much for him in a trade, but there are teams that would be interested. And sure, I think the Commanders would be one of those teams.
How old is he? 71?
70, yeah, early 70s.
He
I
says
think.
he still wants to coach.
Yeah. I think he looks pretty good for his age.
I think it looks great for his age. I mean, for being a short, fat turd. I mean, it's kind of what he is. But, he's always looked that way.
Born in 52.
Yeah. But it's official. I'm out on Belichick.
I'm in.
Okay.
I think I would lean in, although Jason brought up a good point yesterday. You kind of want a young offensive guy.
If those
He's
are the guys
old
that are
school
thriving
defensive
now.
guy.
What has he done without Brady?
Very little.
Okay, but he's also the GM. He's a bad GM. He's
He
not
is a-
that,
well-
you
So is
don't bring him
Ron, I
in.
know.
Okay, so you don't bring him in to be the GM. He's the greatest defensive mind in NFL history.
I'm
What if he
over it.
insists?
I need
What
an
if he
offensive
insists he wants to be the GM?
I need
He's
a
probably
great
got that power.
Listen.
Well, then he'll take the job that gives him the GM, probably.
Yeah, I'm out.
I'd want a younger offensive guy, but no.
So let's say Pete Carroll shocked people, decided he was going to retire. He's just going to live on the beach. You would want Belichick to coach your team?
Absolutely.
I'm out.